Interesting video today. I've got some drivers at some very different prices. We've got Matt over here. He's just taking pictures of these drivers actually, which he's gonna show you some of the price points in a second. We're gonna talk today about driver distance compared to price. So how much are you paying for distance? So we've got a driver ranging from about £20 up to £700 with stops in between. It should be a fun one, Matt, shouldn't it?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting. £20 driver that I'm just filming here. It's £700 XXIO. What on earth is going on?
Let's test them in the comments down below. How much is it going to be on branding compared to actual performance when we look at some very different price point drivers? Should we start with a little bit of looks and feel? We're going to look at tech in a second and price together. So just to let you know, we got one ranging from 20 up to £700 with stops. We're going to look at them in detail in a second. CX1 Masters to kick us off. Like, it looks fine. It's not really the best shapes down by the ball here. It's quite straight. Almost looks like it's offset. So we do have this funny little kink here in the neck. So like, there's not much about this club that I'm gonna pick up and go, ooh, I love the look of that. But think about the price of this. Most people who are maybe picking up this club are just going, I want a golf club. And it definitely looks like a golf club. So it's shorter in length. It is a loft, 10.5, not measured to see it actually if it is a 10.5. And that's the thing, when you come down in this price bracket, you can't really control much of what you're getting. You're kind of getting what you get. We're going to collect numbers and feel as well as we go. So yeah, it doesn't make the loudest noise in the world. It feels relatively soft because I imagine it's quite soft metals. My preconceptions going into all this test is that I think we might see a bunch up where money starts becoming not so relevant possibly, but I do feel like this one isn't going to cut the mustard, but let's see. This one more than any other club when I hit it, I can feel the vibrations through the shaft like it's wobbling. It feels less stable. So lots of people would probably equate that to thinking, oh, the shafts, it makes such a big difference. But for me, yes, I caught that slightly off the top and you feel it moving. That's going to be MOI of the head, which I imagine on this club is not going to be as good as hopefully some of the more expensive ones. So that twisting in my strike is then translating up through the shaft into my hand. So it's probably the MOI, well, of the neck and head, because they actually have separate MOI properties, believe it or not. Let's go to the Ram FX next. Now this club, I'm intrigued for the price. I put it down in my office when it came and I think like this is surely going to do as good as anything else, isn't it? So again, the shape of this is fine. It's a little bit bulbous out in the toe area. So like there's a lot of club out here. Really dives away here. Got this kind of matte black finish, which actually looks quite nice. Face all looks much better quality than the Masters. The grip's unfortunately very thick. Again, this is where this kind of price club, you start to just get a little bit what you're given. Like, I don't know why that grip is so thick. Shaft just says super light on it, composite US. And I waggle it around. It does feel heavy, this one. Like I'm gonna have to move the thing. But stability off the face on this compared to the Masters is like, this is feeling much more on par with every more expensive club that I normally test. Apart from the weight, a little bit of looks, this is kind of in the batch of feeling. Sounded good. Right, I'm going to continue hitting. Why don't we go and look at the tech and the price of all the drivers that we've got. Let's talk tech. We've got Matt, my tech expert over here.
Hello, hello.
Should we start down at the £20 range? So we're talking price and tech here, basically.
Let's not start there.
There's
a limit to my searching capabilities and that doesn't show up very much.
No, so that's a £20 driver, isn't it?
Yeah, that's £20 and you're going to get a £20 driver.
Yeah, so here's your £20 driver. Go and play golf and go and have fun. Basically, isn't it?
Very limited options with like lofts and shaft flex and things like that.
Okay, yeah, let's go to the Ram. The Ram is £79.
Ram, now this is interesting. You ready for this?
Yeah,
460cc driver with enlarged sweet spot, the maximum forgiveness.
Yes.
Ooh, good start. Pure titanium construction for explosive face for thundering distance.
I want thundering.
Yeah.
That's what I've always been after.
Aerodynamic tech, which helps reduce drag for higher club head speeds.
I mean, it's saying everything that everything else has got.
Yeah, this literally could be on probably the Ping website, the Callaway one, the XXIO, whatever website you want it to be on. But don't forget, forward centre of gravity for lower spin and penetrating distance.
Oh, okay. Well, that'll be interesting to see as well. So what's interesting with that one at 79 quid is when I pick it up, it does like, it just...
Looks like a bomber, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how the numbers come out in that one. Then we jump up to around the £300 price bracket. So we've got the Cleveland Launcher, but you could also have Mizuno in this. The ST200 is the same price, so that would be another one they're comparing there. What's the Cleveland's obviously going aerodynamics?
Yeah, so the highball crown, you've got turbocharged cup face. I love all these words.
I want turbocharged.
Deep weighting for increased MOI.
Boom.
And counterbalance shaft design.
I didn't know the Cleveland's got counterbalance, is it?
That's what it says here, counterbalanced shaft design.
All right, there you go. And then Ping, 379 for Ping. Like, it's hard to see how Ping ain't going to win this at 379.
I think the Ram is.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Ping's obviously got Dragonfly, turbulators, it's aerodynamic.
Movable weights, CG, location, adjustability. You've got the tuning on the shaft now as well, so the adjustable neck.
Yeah.
Dragonfly, forged face.
It's got a lot. Now we're going to choose TSI in this kind of 450, 400 to 500 pound bracket.
Yeah.
Because you could be choosing Maverick or Sim in this bracket of clubs. It's just TSI is definitely the most current.
Yeah.
I got good numbers out of it when I tested it, so I thought it'd be a good one to put into this bracket. It's like aerospace graded everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tunable.
New face, aerospace titanium, ATI 425 materials. Fast in the air. Oh, like, listen to it. Faster in the air, faster at impact. Like, they just can't stop, can they? These companies, it's brilliant. Like, fast, hit it further.
What's funny, if you think about it, is that the Ram, apart from the Ram website, which basically just bullet pointed the points, it didn't have fancy imagery and, like, you know, maybe some bigger terms. They're kind of saying the same things.
Yeah.
It's just more the presentation, the branding comes strongly through on these clubs, doesn't it?
Yeah,
and then we finish with XXIO, the XXIO, which is 700 quid. So we are jumping way up. It's a driver I've used. I will still use again. I do actually enjoy this driver. But why do I like it? What's it doing?
You've got the counterbalance again on the weighting of the shaft, which looks like it's their most talked about thing. They're talking about lightweight shafts, lightweight for skilled players, but no adjustability on the neck.
No.
And with a £700 driver, you would think that it would have all the whizziness about it, wouldn't you?
Yeah, but I think if you're going for lightness, you can't put adjustability on it because you're adding screws.
Carbon fibre, high-speed cup face.
Yeah, because it's got fibre on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
So that's the biggest thing with the XXIO driver for me, someone who's trying to gain speed, someone who hasn't got loads of speed. I do notice the difference in this driver. It does add miles an hour. We see if it happens in this test. If it's worth that extra money or not is a very different story. And also, you've got to bear in mind, you might bring speed to the table yourself, so you don't need this. But for me, it was quite a noticeable difference.
Good 2-3 mile an hour jump, wasn't it,
yeah,
for you?
Absolutely. So, yeah, we're covering price ranges. Every tech is covered. Like, there must be a winner in here, because we've literally got every bit of tech ticked off, haven't we?
Let's see you win, shall we?
Yeah.
So you can see it's funny, everyone's claiming everything, aren't they? It's like a war of words in the tech world, but the prices are very, very different. At the moment, this one feels like it's going to perform the Masters. You definitely feel there is not much quality in that. The only thing with this club is the grip is thick, which I don't like, obviously could change, subject to how thick this shaft is under here. It does look quite thick coming up into the top here, and this just feels heavy. And for me, I want to go the other way. I like light. But sound off the face, stability of my delivery to what comes out, it feels quite true. So onto the launcher. This is just under £300. And this, again, this feels light. This feels just like any expensive driver really now. It's like towy draw, but again, the stability of what I put in feels like it's going to come out the other end with this. And we're getting some very similar looks to the more expensive Ping model in the launcher. It's matte black, like it looks classy, this one. Obviously the Ram, I think, looked all right. It's just like, why is it so deep and claiming to be aerodynamic? It's like, there's things in it that just don't make sense. Like, that's a rocket. Now, this is standout for sound. Cleveland launcher is definitely the loudest. Like, oh, hello, get on. At the moment, this is the loudest one, and I reckon it will stay the loudest as we go through the batch. G410 Plus from Ping. We are getting weights and movable necks now. What I'm doing with each club is I'm hitting 2 or 3 shots and then changing. So I'm not hitting 5 or 6 or 10 with one and then changing. I'm going to try and keep the numbers as I get faster and slower with fatigue or not the same throughout the batch. Also, before the end of the video, I'm going to show you strokes gained. We're going to show you the numbers on these, and then at the end of the video, I'll show you the strokes gained numbers for each one of these clubs. So think of that now more as kind of 3-dimensional improvements over each other, because it's going to be distance plus dispersion into one measured reading. Let's hear you in the comments. Which ones do you reckon is going to win the strokes gain competition at the end? So the Ping is certainly loud, not as loud as the Cleveland. So I mean loud as in it's not a duller hit that we will get into some of the other ones with the carbon tops. It has to be said, the Ping constantly feels the most stable. It just feels solid. It just feels like so trustworthy. And I do like the look down of the Ping at the ball sits square. It does have all the kind of turbulators and other bits that put some people off. I actually quite like that. Yeah, it's just a firm, solid kind of titanium ting. Again, that's a good hit. So representing that kind of £400 to £500 price range now, we've got the TSI 3, loads of tech, the ATI face that they talk about. You know, you got one of the biggest brands in golf. Obviously we get changeable necks as well. Looks great down by the ball. It kind of ticks so many desirable boxes, this club, but how much is that tech really going to show through in yards and price? Again, like, if feel was your premise, this like just feels great. That feels so solid, like the Ping and like the Cleveland, to be fair, but it was slightly louder, which might put some people off. Like, this is kind of ticking every feel box. Like, there's a team of boffins who are going to do everything they can to try and make this sound and feel as good as it can. It's a Titleist that has to feel a certain excellence, doesn't it? I'm not sure what the team, if there is a team, of Ram boffins stroke Masters boffins actually are doing or look like, or like, is it just a geezer in his shed? Like, I literally don't know. Where these guys make it very clear to you that they are spending money on trying to make something look as good as it can, feel, go as good as it can, which is why we have those price tags, possibly. And remember, you've got Maverick and Sim in this price bracket, which produce very similar numbers to this. I've just chosen TSI because I can't hit them all. I won't be able to stand at the end of it. I think if you're spending that kind of money, all of these three are going to be on your list. This is definitely the hottest one at the moment. TSI 3 is getting some great press. Oh, it's a carve ball. It's a standout in class, looks and feel, TSI 3, definitely. Also remember, in this price range, you've got TSI 2. So you've got your variations, and obviously the Ping has its LST tech, and then it's got its straight face or straight tech, you know, the one that's built for drawing. So you've got different heads in this price bracket within these brands. XXIO to finish, this one is in and out of my bag. Like, I do love how light this one feels. And often in testing, this one does give me my fastest club head speed. I do wish this had the changeable neck, but I understand why it doesn't, because I would like this more in a 7.5 loft, really. XXIO definitely,
That's a good shot. Definitely feels the straightest. I keep saying XXIO, it's XXIO. That's something I just can't get in my head because it says XX, but it's actually pronounced XXIO. And because of the lightness of this club, often I do find peaks in club head speed with this of 1-2 mile an hour, which at the moment are priceless to me. But let's hit one more. I've got Matt coming in to look at the numbers to see what's coming out before we look at strokes gained and conclusions. I do like the fact that I can draw this club with ease as well. That's something I do work into my game. Let's go and see what these numbers have come out like.
Right, let's take a look at the numbers. First of all, club head speed, and the two counterbalance clubs, the XXIO and the Launcher, the two quickest out of the two, 112s on both. And then you drop down to the mid-price range or the mid to high price range, TSI 3, G410 Plus, both at 111. And then the cheaper clubs, or the price bracket that's cheaper, Masters, Ram, both the slowest club head speed. So very interesting. Now if we go to the ball data, again, the cheaper clubs, look at the ball speed difference on the Masters, 150 compared to nearly 160 with the XXIO and the TSI 3. That is quite a jump. Ram, also the cheaper, a few miles an hour slower. Ball speed is king, as we know. That, along with the backspin rate, will give you that carry yardage that you want. But if we look at the carry, Masters 256 and the Ram 264, both the shortest. As soon as you go to the middle sort of £300 price upwards, they're all bunching. 279 for the Launcher, 277 TSI 3, 274 for the Ping, and 278 for the XXIO.
Right, before we finish this video with strokes gained, to actually see which one you would game on a strokes gained basis, you know, so left and right misses with short and long. Matt's done a little per pound spent yardage for us. So what have you got for us, Matt? So which one's the most value per pound?
The box set, 20 pounder, obviously. So it was going about 260, I think it was. And you're spending 20 quid, so you get 12.8 yards for each pound.
Right. So I imagine then it's just the basic, it just gets worse and worse and worse as you go on.
Worse and worse as you go, yep. So the XXIO is obviously the worst, £700, and you get if you want to round it up, 0.4 of a yard for every pound you spend.
Okay, and then how do the Ping and I guess the Ping and the Cleveland are very similar, are they?
Yeah, so you gradually go up. So the TSI, you're getting 0.55 of a yard for every pound, Ping 0.7, and then the Cleveland you're getting 1 yard for every pound. Ram 3.3 yards for every pound.
So if you were choosing with those clubs, without looking at the strokes gained, which we're going to come to, maybe post comments down below if you think which one's going to do best on strokes gained. So that would be stability of hits, obviously with the distance. When we look at the distance of them, they really started bunching up when we got to the Cleveland, did they not?
Yeah, so anything above Cleveland performed very, very well and very, very similar.
So Cleveland, Ping, Titleist, XXIO all got bunched really close. So what would make you say choose a Ping over the Cleveland that were going very, very close on numbers? So for me, Ping might have a better or will have a better resale value because it's a more of a premium known brand, stroke product in the driver world. And they do tend to hold their value quite well online, don't they?
Yeah, and you've got adjustability of the Ping as well, around the neck, around the back with the adjustable weight too. So you've got to put a lot into your equation, haven't you? You can't just go, that £20 box set driver is £20 and you're getting 12.8 yards for every pound, but like the shaft is 2 inches shorter, the loft is 10.5, and that's your only option. So,
yeah, exactly.
Like if you want to improve, then that's probably out of the equation. If you're just starting, it's very good value.
And then what about the Ram then? So the Ram's the curveball, isn't it? Because the Ram's numbers weren't brilliant. They were definitely back a little bit, but they were good considering it's an £80 driver. Again, for me, it's things like the fit grip could be changed.
The heaviness of it would be a struggle for me. And you've got to remember, Matt's much stronger than I, but I mean, I can swing at a decent speed. Like if you're bringing club head speeds back, that's going to really punish some people. Because that's the other thing you got to remember when you start buying for the bigger brands, is that you are getting, as you pointed out there, you're just getting more options.
Yeah, which is great. And again, if you want to improve, and if you're having lessons, for instance, and you're changing your swing, then being able to adjust your driver here and there is a good thing.
So I'm going to push you. Which one would you choose? You have to choose one.
If I was just playing golf and just started, well, maybe not even if I just started, I would probably buy the Ram because it's £79 and it's hitting it nearly as far as the top boys.
Yeah, the Ram did do well.
It's really, really good. I'd like to see the strokes gained as well. Obviously, we haven't got that bit. We've got this bit after, but I'm not going to see it because that might influence me too. Because I feel like the Ram was actually hitting the fairway quite a lot too. I don't think there was a...
This is what's so interesting, I think, with strokes gained, is that lots of people are having fits and they're not using strokes gained. They're just going to be looking and getting seduced by not always working in lefts and rights as much as... I mean, I never do as well because I think that's so much me. Mm-hmm. And you've got to be careful with strokes gained as equally as you've got to be careful with just looking at the data sets and numbers. But when we've done it in the past, it does throw up some curveballs, doesn't it? It throws up some surprises.
Absolutely. So I would want to see that, but like money-wise, like, and the yardage you're getting for your pound on the Ram's decent. But like if I want adjustability, I'm gonna have to go for the ping. Yeah, like what's the point in going for 500, 700 pounds when you've got everything in the ping at 379?
Yeah, I think the ping's hard to beat. I think the Cleveland at 279, it's £100 cheaper than the ping. If you're not someone who's going to be joining the trading market every week, is going to do well. But then again, the limits with the Cleveland, subject to where you are in the world, is that we could phone up 10 golf clubs now. Can I get fit for a Cleveland? We might find one. Can I get fit for a ping? I'm going to find 5. Can I get fit for a Titleist? I'm going to find 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah,
so I think it's just so much easier, and that's often what you're paying for. I think sometimes the prices of these clubs go up not just on yardage and performance and aerospace and counterweight and balance and all this kind of stuff. It also goes up because to get them into your hands, to get them into your minds, that costs money. They need to be in these pro shops that you're walking into every day when you're playing. That familiarity of seeing that brand is what will make you go, oh, can I give that one a go when you're struggling maybe? So how much of it, we're equating it to yardage. I think a lot of it is actually equated to maybe the actual business cycle of how these clubs are distributed and given out to people.
Yeah.
So for you, it's the ping. I'm going to struggle between the Cleveland and the ping.
Ping and the Ram.
You're the ping and the Ram.
Yeah.
I hear you.
I've got no money. I'm getting the Ram all day.
Yeah, I agree. If money is an issue and you're not, I mean, 500 quid for Titleist, Sim and Maverick.
It's a lot, isn't it?
A lot of money. Right, strokes gained is in. Have you posted a comment down below to let me know which one you think is going to win on strokes gained? So I've got 2 batches of strokes gained data and you can choose which one you want to use and how you would test. So I've got all shots and then I've got another batch here where I've got the recovery shots removed. So what that means is they're the ones that are wild offline. So when you're in a fitting, how much of those offline shots you've got to decide. Are you, the club, the fact that it's a different club? Is it a shot that you play when you're in the course? Like, is it one you're trying to fix, or is it one that you just hit and you think, oh, I just don't really hit a shot like that on the course? There are things you've got to bear in mind when you're fitting. That's what you'll work on your fitter with, those kind of ideas. So you choose, I'm not saying one's right or the other, because it's for interpretation. However you want to interpret it is cool. If we go all shots to kick us off. So losing the most is the Zex here at 2.41. Then the Masters losing 1.68. These are against Tour Pro numbers. Then it's the TSI 3 losing 1.1. Then we go to the Ram losing 0.93. So the Ram is doing better than the XXIO, which is obviously loads more money, and the TSI 3. Remember, this only on this batch of shots, always with tests. Can you repeat it? Those kind of things are questions that are still out there. Then the Ping loses half a shot, 0.51. And then the Launcher is basically losing the least, so in effect gaining the most against a Tour Pro, only losing in that batch of shots 0.4. So with the recovery shots out, I now start gaining on a Tour Pro. Lessons are still the big key here, aren't they, if you think about that? So what gained the least was the Ram. Only gained 0.03. Then the Masters gained 0.26. Then there's XXIO, 0.39. Then the Ping, 0.41. Then the Launcher, a 0.053. So at the moment the Launcher's doing well in both tests, isn't it? And then the TSI came out on tops when you took the recoveries away. These are my numbers. If I was thinking of buying one of these clubs, it would be very interesting. I would have to understand my recovery shots more. And this is where I think lessons, stroke, fittings are so important. Fittings on their own, I think, can be so dangerous and misleading. And I've said this for years. I stopped doing fittings when I used to work in the industry of like selling golf clubs, because they kind of were slightly pointless as a golf coach. I used to just think I could do so much better with this person if I just told them or gave them some things to work on. If they can do them in this little hour session that we've got is a different question. So do I want to poke the beast or not? It's, you know what I mean? It's a conflict of interest almost. So all shots on that batch, you'd pick the Launcher. If you take the recovery shots out, so if you take the ones out where I think it might be me more than the club, but again, that's debatable, up to you to decide how you would want to read that, you'd pick the TSI 3. I think the standout thing for me on all this test is how much, as soon as you get near that £300 price point, remember the Mizuno's in there, that would have been in this test and it would have done very similar to the Launcher, I think, from my prior testing of it. As soon as you get to £300 upwards, you really start bunching up. But then it leads us on to the next discussion, which is maybe another video if you want to see it, is are drivers too expensive? Like, are they just ridiculously expensive? Are we paying for techs that do cost money? They need developing. But if nothing's developing in our games, then are we all just getting a little bit lost in the geek out part of golf and forgetting that that plastic ball being struck around Mother Nature is asking so much more of you than it does maybe of any of these? Comments down below. Did you like the test? What do you think? Are you buying per yards per pound? That's such a Matt Lockey stat, that one. Are you dialing in the strokes gained for your stats, and would you be taking recovery shots out or not? Let me know in the comments down below. Again, I don't think there's a right or wrong. It's however you want to interpret how you think you play. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you're not already subscribed. Loads more free videos coming and tests. And if you want to see another test that we haven't done, maybe in the comments down below, let us know what you'd like us to put to the test. Because we're always up for a little bit of smashing, number crunching, trying to help you get the best equipment.